Okay, and that is it. We are live. We should be on. Everything should be running. Everything should be right. I haven't bothered to pull it up or anything like that, but
don't worry, I got it up.
And I've already got some people in the room, so I know that the room is posted, if nothing else.
All right.
Yeah, we're live. Okay, so speaking in which, there's only one person currently talking in the chat, but a couple people are in the room, so right here, right off the bat, Ascura Mask says, I don't want Fandom Night to end. Who's going to call out Sinister Alpha and Pervy Zordon? We're not ending. That's not what this episode's about at all. No worries there. Read the description. No, that's not our... we're not going anywhere, not as far as we understand anyways. And also follow that up with 30 years from now, you're still doing this. They better close each episode with Future Chair. Woo! And already Scott is in here, surprisingly.
But 30 years from now,
you'll be in a future chair.
Future chair. It would just be a chair.
It would just be a chair. It would just be a chair.
So everybody will be zooming around.
It would just be chair. Woo!
Right.
Unless there's an even more future chair.
Even more future chair.
So then you would be like, even more future chair. Woo! Or,
at that point, it would be like, retro chair.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm coming.
Yeah, but if we have to retro chair and then do one of these things to move, then we got to be really, really careful not to be dicks.
Right.
Because we could just, wheel up to a guy. Who is this man who sits before me? Who am I?
Who am I? No joke. Dude, Xavier just fucking mind wiped
him, yeah.
Like, just completely screwed him. So,
basically forced him good.
So today's episode, realistically, what it is about, what we are discussing, the mainline point of the conversation is to figure out where our current state of fandom is. Let's be honest about something. We've been doing this show for like over a decade. Yeah, it's over a decade.
In fact, hold on.
You would have to go to Reploid to figure it out.
Yep, I know. I needed to open a new tab to get there.
Our first episode was the Sands of Time review.
Yes.
Yep.
Which I believe, I believe it was like 2010.
That might make sense.
I think that's when we started.
Oldest, 14 years ago for the preview.
Well, that would be 2010 because this is 2024.
Okay, let's see. The actual Sands of Time preview was May 25th of 2010.
When we started.
And then if we do the actual Reploid Productions preview, the first video that went up was, May 25th, 2010. So both went up at the exact same time.
That's when we started.
So, yeah, we've got almost 15 years in. And the truth of the matter is that 15 years ago, I had hair.
Yep.
And it's pretty much the only thing that's changed. No.
Your prescription.
No.
Yes. These are the same glasses. Same prescription. My wife even got mad at me because I wore the same glasses for an entire decade. And then she was like, it's time to change your glasses. So we go into the doctor's, the eye doctor and whatnot.
Right.
We sit down. He does the whole eye test and everything. And then he goes, hold on, are you sure? And I said, yeah. Because he's like, see this, And then he goes, hold on, let's do this again. And he goes back through the whole procedure like a second time. Then he's like, do you see that? Is that better or worse? Is that better or worse? And he goes, wow. I said, what? He goes, you have the exact same prescription. And I'm like, yes! Yep. See, wife, I didn't need new glasses. I'm just here spending money for no reason.
Look, it might be a little hard to tell because you're going to get some fucking glare, but these fucking things are all scratched and fucked up and nasty and destroyed. I've been wearing the same shit since then.
Right. Yeah, so that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like I kept the same glasses forever.
Actually,
Right.
you know what it is.
Oh my God!
What
Scott
it
says
is.
a Sands of Time remake is coming. Oh yeah, the game.
Yes, but it
Yeah.
got pushed. But it got pushed back till 2026.
I hadn't even considered that. That is a thing.
Yes,
Yep.
it was supposed to come out last year, and then some shit happened. And when they put out a trailer for it, people criticized it because it looked worse than the 2003 version.
Now Jake says that movie is not as bad as we say. Now this is part of the argument. This is exactly why I think this episode is important. We have changed dramatically in terms of how we see our current rate of fandom, the kinds of things that we take in, and the kinds of things that are like important to us now. Stop and think about this. When we started YouTube, okay, we really got in. What was really important at the time? What was it that got views and got laughs? It was crapping on everything. Like if you listen to the original video game stuff, all we're doing is crapping on games that we love. And there's something that nowadays, it almost doesn't even sit right with me. I listen to it and I'm like, oh, shut the fuck up. Like I'm telling us to shut up. Because like, we're going through Final Fantasy 1 through fucking, at the time, 14.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going through, by the time we finished it, we go 1 to 14.
Yeah, by the time we'd finished it, 14 had come out.
And
because it was still in an alpha. Yeah.
All we do for the most part is crap on every game.
Right back on the camera.
Like almost every game.
6.
It just blows my mind. Like, and now when I go back and I look at it, there's a lot of different things that I don't necessarily agree with. And that's just part of like, not necessarily, I guess you could say it's just getting older or whatever, but like, you do tend to change in terms of how you view things and also how the game works. Like, there's something to be said for what YouTube was. And at the time, if I'm being honest with myself, almost everything I watched, and this is bad when I think about it, everything that I was watching at the time was like rant videos and like angry game stuff. Like, these games suck. What are the worst games? How come games suck? Remember this game when you were growing up and it sucked? And and that really did have an effect on us at the time because a lot of the stuff that we were going into, a lot of the stuff that we were talking about was a lot of, look, these games suck. And like it's not great. Some of that stuff is still very funny. I'm not saying like getting rid of a lot of things or anything like that. I'm just saying that it's definitely different now than it was back then. And if you look also, there was a lot of comic book conversations and whatnot. Some of us were a little more up to date in terms of comic books. And like my reading habits have changed severely. I no longer have a 47 book pull list. It got to be too much. It got to be too much in multiple different ways for me to keep up with that kind of thing. We don't necessarily watch the same movies that we used to in the same way. A lot of us have kind of delved in different directions in terms of how we consume anime and different things like that. So there's been massive changes in terms of how we view fandom, how we consume our fandom, and what we think is like more important to us now. Which, by the way, we've had this argument. It's come up many times on here. We've argued about the state of collecting in terms of media. And the reason we argue about it is because the world has changed. And if you would have asked me those questions, hey, you gonna buy that game digitally? Why? Why would I ever do that? No, I want to own it. I want to put it on my shelf. But like, half of that's a load of BS now. Like, if we really stop and think about it, half the games we buy, either one, aren't finished. So, like, when they finally shut the servers down and there's no updates anymore, you just bought a broken game. You just have a broken game on your shelf you can go back to in 10 years and be like, oh man, remember this game? It was so good. And all of a sudden, you, like, fall through the world and the game crashes and it doesn't work. And can you imagine Really stop and think about this. But games that came out like that Assassin's Creed game that was broke as shit.
Unity. I can't imagine. I did play it, and I did fall through the map.
Now, think about how good that game is now.
Well, now
there was another game. What's that? The AI game. AI people. Robot people. What is it? He has Keanu Reeves in it, right?
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk. Stop and think about how broken that game was.
Yeah.
If you'd have bought that game physically, if you were one of the people that owns a physical copy of that game, in 10 years, they will shut down the current marketplace that holds the updates for that game. And you did not buy it digitally, and unless you plan to keep the physical file on your hard drive until you die, at some point, your hard drive will reset or something of the nature will happen, or you'll delete something to make space. And when you go to put that game back in, it'll play the base version of the game from that disc.
Yep.
And you're going to be like, this game is terrible. And it will be terrible because it was released like that. And this other argument that I hear as I've grown up. Oh, well, one of the reasons that I buy physical games is because of game preservation. I'm going to say something that you're not going to like. You're full of shit. You're not preserving games. It's got nothing to do with game preservation. You are not a museum.
Yep.
Are you gonna hard copy that game? Are you gonna stick it in a hard drive with a backup file and a backup drive and a safety drive, and then put that stuff in storage, like an airtight storage that actually guarantees that those drives survive, so that someday if somebody comes looking for the 1912 version of Frankenstein, you actually have the 33 reel sitting in your closet somewhere, all graded and everything? No, that's bullshit.
Yes, I'm going to now.
Look, good. You do that.
I'm going to do it with all my stuff.
Good.
Shane, you go do that. I'm going to explain something to you. As somebody who decided, because all I have is I've got over here, I've got a PS4 and I have a Switch sitting in my basically storage room is what we're referring to it as, which is our spare bedroom. I've got an N64 and some cartridges. If I wanted to, I can haul the CRT in here. I could put the N64 down, plug everything in, and I could play Paper Mario if I fuck with the cartridge hard enough. The other day, I decided, you know what? I'm going to play Fallout 4 again. I haven't done that in a hot minute. I want to say it's been a couple of years since my last save file was, saved on there. I'm going to play that. I pulled out the fucking disc. I put it in my PS4. My PS4 will not read the disc. I've either gained some type of fucking disc rot, or there's some scratch on it that will not allow it to fucking work.
That's
so you know what I had to do?
Yeah.
I had to buy it digitally.
No, yeah. And see, here's the other thing too. Because this is all part of this discussion. We're going to talk about a lot of things in terms of how fandom has changed throughout our lives and where we currently sit today. That's this whole video. Stop and think about this one too. I'm gonna put a hard truth in front of you for everybody that thinks that you're collecting games for some sort of game preservation or something like that, or like this idea that like, well, I have Mario Kart on the actual Super Nintendo and I'll just, hand that down to my kids. Do you know how to fix memory faults in the Super Nintendo? Do you know how to do it? Because if you don't, you're full of shit. Because unless you're educating yourself on how to do something like that, sooner or later, the Super Nintendo will go out. It does happen. I had 2 Super Nintendos that could no longer read the memory on the carts. So you would start Mario. And I remember the first time this happened to me, I didn't even know what was happening. I thought it was the game. I started, and the level starts. And I start running. And it did not load in the next part of the game. Like, it was weird. Like, I ran, and then there was just, like, a hole. Like, just a blue nothingness. And I was like, what is wrong? What's happening? And I couldn't figure it out. So I had to turn the game off and try it again. And every time I turned it on, there was some sort of new, weird, screwy problem. So I finally decided, this Mario game, this Super Mario World must be broken. So I took the game and I put in a different game. I remember specifically, I put in Mario Kart. And it starts, and then I go to the first level, and it's like, boo, and it kind of goes in, brrr, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go, and I start driving, and immediately when I start driving, the floor disappears, and I just fall, and then the little guy comes up, and he, like, grabs me, and he, like, brings me over and drops me right off the world again, and then drops me off the world again. I was like, what the f*** is happening? And I couldn't figure it out. It was the Super Nintendo. The memory processor or whatever in the Super Nintendo had gone bad. Because these are old products. Mm-hmm. And they will go bad eventually. And here's the last part of this that nobody wants to think about. And I had to do myself a real hard truth recently. I've collected a lot of stuff. I got stuff.
Yep.
And I have comic books. Thousands upon thousands of comic books. And it hit me. I love these comics. I collect these comics. I read these comics. There are big pain in the asses to that we're going to be talking about today. But then it hit me recently, very recently, I invested in my first tablet so I could start reading some digital comics. And there is a reason to this. I have books everywhere. Literally everywhere. I have an entire bookshelf of books, and I have somewhere around 30 long boxes. Some in the garage, some in the living room, some in my bedroom. It's a nightmare to try to go find the one storyline that I want to read from something. And the literal days upon weeks of sorting this material so that maybe it can be accessed later on and I can get into it. But it hit me when I die, okay? Because it's inevitable. At some point, people die. What happens to all this physical media that I've collected? All this stuff that I was preserving? All the art that I had? You know what happens to it? Gwen probably packs it all up and either puts it on the street corner as garbage, or she takes it to some comic book store where the guy doesn't even have time to look through 30,000 plus issues and goes, so it's a lot. Look, I could probably drop $4,000 on it. I'll give you $4,000. I'll buy the entire lot and then I'll piece it out. I'll do all the work and heavy lifting and everything for you, but I just don't have time to go through this. And now she has a decision. What happens? It's just gone. And all this physical stuff that I made like so important to myself, what does it matter? Like, it really does eat at you when you start to think about it. It's important to you. It's not important to preservation. It's not important to this is your fandom and the way that you consume it. And it hit me, and see, it's called organization, Bill. Buy yourself some dividers and separate them, title by publisher. You're wrong. I'm going to call you out right now, Ronan. Bam! Calling Ronan out. Effing the fans. No, I love the fans. He knows that. I'm always giving him shit. But stop and think about this. Be realistic about this one, Ronan. I currently, very recently, I wanted to read something. I wanted to read The Death of Superman and The Reign of the Superman. I wanted to read it all. I own it all. And then I realized what kind of Herculean task it is to read that storyline. One, I have to figure out where all the parts of it are. See, just like Blackest Night, which I have all of that, both physically and digitally, when I read Blackest Night, I read it digitally, and there's a reason. In order to put it all together, I have to go find all the parts of it. There are parts of it, that storyline starts in Justice League. So I gotta go find the Justice League book that's in my Justice League box that's sorted into my Justice League stuff, take that book out. Then I've got to read the Superman one. But then I've got to go from Superman to Man of Tomorrow to Man of Steel to Adventure Comics to, I think there was like one more during the time. I honestly can't remember right now. And then there's the different Superman books, like the other Supermen that show up. They each have like 4 or 5 books between them. And then, as well as that, I've also got to dig out the event story, because there's the funeral story. I've got to get all of those. And during that, I've also got to go into Green Lantern and 4 or 5 other books that were dealing with the Superman crisis when all of that happened, because it is part of the story. Because like while the cyborg Superman is attempting to destroy the city and things like that, you also have Mongrel. Is it Mongol? He's fighting the Green Lantern at the time, and the Green Lantern is on the battlefield, and that's all taking place. So like, if I want to read it all uninterrupted, I have to go into at least 15 different comic lines. And I've got to find all of them in the long boxes. I don't care what kind of organizer you are. Did you choose to put all of that into a story? Did you, when you were collecting that, did you say, this is a story, so I'm going to take all of it and I'm going to put it in my story box? Or did you, like most everybody else does, collect the Green Lantern comics 1 through, 120? Or let's be more honest about how comic books work here. Or did you collect the Superman books that went like 1 through 75 and then went back to 1 until 20 and then went back to 1 until 78 and then went back to 1 until like 35 and then for some reason just said, you know what, never mind, 977. Damn it! Like, where do you put all that? Like, that's a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass to collect. It's a pain in the ass to find. It's a pain in the ass to sort. It's a pain in the ass to go through. And by the way, have you ever had to move when you own 30,000 comic books? I have. Pepperidge Farm remembers.
I remember throwing my back and arms out, moving long boxes down steps.
Right.
Yeah, Shane remembers too.
Exactly. There are real negatives. There are very real negatives to this that nobody ever talks about. They never talk about it. Their first and only argument is always, oh, well, yada yada. And then so here comes another issue that somebody's going to say, why don't you just buy like a graphic novel? Why don't you just do that? Oh, well, now you got to do some research. You got to figure out what graphic novel actually has all of it uninterrupted, or do any of them even exist that have the entire thing uninterrupted? Are you just going to read part of it? Because if you buy Blackest Night and it tells you that it's a complete Blackest Night, chances are that's BS. Because the actual full Blackest Night storyline is spread across the entire DC universe, with every single character getting about 2 or 3 books per area, when those are all taking place at the same time in different areas, and they have a chronological order. So if you want to read the whole storyline, you need like 40-something different books. It's not as simple as people like to make it. In my comics right now, Blackest Night, you need Blackest Night Batman, Blackest Night Flash, JSA, Superman, Tales of the Corps, Titans, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern Corps, and then Adventure Comics, Booster Gold, Doom Patrol, Green Arrow, Justice League of America, Outsiders, Rebels, Resurrected Series, Secret Six, Superman and Batman, and Teen Titans. Yes, I just named it all because I have it all right here, chronological in a digital file on my computer, so I can read it. Otherwise, you're just reading 8 parts of it, and it's very disjointed. It's like you get pretty much the idea, but it's not complete, and you're missing an awful lot of information that's then brought up in other books when you go into things like Brightest Day. So it's not easy to go back and read something that you've already put in long boxes. It's an absolute nightmare. And that's just talking about the state of my comic books. I have moved mostly digital omnibus and compendiums, and that is all I buy now. because it's easier. I could put a compendium on the shelf. It's on the shelf. There. I have Conan the Barbarian, the original Marvel years 1 through 10 compendiums. They're big, they're fat books, they're nice, they're hardback. I like it. But there's a problem to that too. When I read books on this, that's nice. Oh, I'm done reading. I'll turn it off. Let's turn it on later. I could take that to work. I can read it at the break tables. I don't have to worry. I can eat a sandwich while reading and not have to worry about getting like a drop or something like that on my pristine page and having my book, my $200 compendium book, ruined. Have you ever tried to read like a 2,000-page omnibus? Have you ever held one of those damn things in your hands and tried to this, the Spawn books, now that I'm thinking about it, and how uncomfortable it is on your wrist, and you're trying to and you got this kind of thing going, and then you finally get it right, and then your head, and then you turn it, and then it comes across one of those pages where all of a sudden the guy who had a brilliant idea was like, instead of a splash page this way, I want to do a splash page this way. And you're like, damn it. And you're trying to turn the whole 20-pound book this way and read that one part, and the part in the middle doesn't work because the compendium is so fat that the pages don't really straighten back out the way you want to. That's trying to read one of those books. In a digital aspect, you just turn the tablet, or you hit the button that flips the image. You can zoom in and out of different things that you want to see. Here's the biggest thing that I've come across that's made me realize a lot of these little issues that I'm having in comic books lately is this. At the age that I'm at currently right now, I'm 40. Okay? What's the most important thing about comic books right now for me? I want to read the story.
To not own a phone book?
Right.
Bill, I get where you're getting at. I hear you loud and clear.
And let's see, this is volume 4. So let's see, volume 4 starts on, let's see, issue 55 and ends, son of a bitch.
See, and this is, so Ronan, you're going into double dipping here too.
Oh, and then here you go. Here's what Bill's talking about.
Right.
Because, you're already reading, fuck.
And the bigger the book, the more of a pain that is too. Well, he says right here, he's about 75. Organization. He's about organization. This would be no problem for him. How many long boxes do you have? See, because I have a house, so I've been able to collect a lot of long boxes, and I probably have anywhere between 30 and 40 of them right now. And that's not including the fact that I don't have enough long boxes. I have 2 bookshelves filled with single issues from top to bottom. Okay? When you reach that level and you talk about being organized, good luck to you. I don't care how organized you are. If Justice League is below 15 long boxes, start digging and understand that everything that you take out that you want to read, you got to put back. And right there, 2 people back to back. Well, I have trades and they have an omnibus. That's fine. So what you're saying is buy the single issues, collect them, bag them, board them, put them in long boxes, put them in a corner, and then go spend more money on a compendium or omnibus so that you could read the story that you want to read. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Give me a real reason why that makes sense and why we as collectors make it make sense. Because financially, that is the dumbest thing you could ever do. These comic books, regardless of the lies we tell ourselves, aren't worth pennies. They're not. The chance that you are going to have one book that's worth actual thousands upon thousands of dollars and that you're going to walk it into some place that will actually buy it for that thousands and thousands of dollars is astronomical. These are mass-produced product. Very few of them actually go into high scales. And there's a roller coaster about it. They go up in value, then they dip real hard. Then they kind of even out, then they go up, then they dip real hard. And you don't know exactly where the market is at any time that you're in the market. You're just kind of making guesses. You can do it. I've sold books for big money. But, like, that's what I'm getting at, is that a lot of this, you really have to stop and think about the problems that come with the things that you're doing. And so for me, at my current point in life where I am, it hit me, what do I want to do? I want to read the books. I want to read the books. I can put this on a shelf. And it contains currently 128 gigs worth of books.
Funny thing is now I'm thinking of that Futurama joke where he goes to Mars University and they go, and that's the library. And there's literally 2 CDs sitting there. One says fiction, the other says nonfiction.
I remember that.
Yeah.
It's
literally
I
the
love
exact
this.
same thing.
I love this. But there's an issue. What if you lose said digital copies? It rained in my house last night and I lost thousands of comic books. What happens if I lose a physical copy? Because I'm going to tell you right now what happens when I lose a digital copy. I recently accidentally, while I was reading, because I thought that I had all of my Wolverine Origin backed up on a different drive, I was deleting them as I read them. Yeah, I'm done with that one. Delete it so I don't reread it, yada yada. I'll put them back on there if I ever need them. I came across a problem and realized that I didn't have them backed up on the drive. So I went to Humble Bundle, and I just re-downloaded them because it was tied to my account. That's what happens. You know what I did when I lost thousands of comic books because it rained inside of my house because of a pipe blew? I lost thousands of dollars worth of comic books. That's all that happened. I could not get them back. I lost thousands of dollars worth of comic books.
They weren't a complete loss. I mean, we were able to get that bonfire started pretty well.
That's fair. That's fair. I burned hundreds of them over in Chillicothe.
Yep.
Because they were at the point, some of them were unreadable, some couldn't be opened, some were in unbelievable water damage. I lost thousands of them. So, and maybe that's part of it too, is I've had certain life experiences that have taught me that whether we buy digital or physical, none of it is guaranteed. My dad had a house fire that cost him thousands of dollars in music. He had a record collection that was like this. He had it built into the wall, and he had thousands of records, like a music store, in his apartment. They covered the entire back wall. It was amazing. It was literally a wall of records. And when I was a kid, I used to go there and just be mesmerized. I could pull it off the wall and open it. They were like big and they had pictures and like, it was just cool. It was like, it's not like a CD. There's a very different feeling. The apartment complex caught fire. He lost all of it. And to this day, it cannot be replaced. What do you do? What do you do if you lose your digital file? It's gone. It's gone. I'm not oblivious to that. What do you do if you lose your physical book? It's gone. That argument doesn't hold water. It's just a safety net you give yourself to say, well, I'm going to stick in physical because someday I might lose the digital file. What makes you feel like you're always going to have your book? Like, why do you believe that the future is guaranteed? It's not. You could have a house fire. You could have an electrical storm. You could have, your window could break due to a hard thunderstorm, and the rain could come in sideways and ruin your boxes with your books in them. And by the way, that bag and board and shit that you think is going to save your books, when it rains on those books, they're done. It didn't help. It didn't help.
Well, listen, Bill, I heard listening to you guys, listening to all this, there is nothing lasts forever. Let's not
No,
kid ourselves.
absolutely.
Let's not kid ourselves. Nothing lasts forever. Whether it's digital or physical, you're gonna lose. If you lose something, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose something eventually. Just that's the nature of the beast.
Yep.
But there are, how I look at it, there are there's pros and cons to both having digital or preferring physical.
Oh,
See,
absolutely.
I always used to be having to have the physical stuff. I mean, as you can see, I have, you can't see everything, but like I got all this is my movies and shows and animes and stuff. I got
Right.
games here. This is not
Which
even
a
all
third
my,
of them probably have disc rot now.
Yep.
most likely.
Because it was Warner Brothers. I think it was the company Warner Brothers was using a third house dispatcher that
Yep.
screwed up. There's a master list going around online right now that thousands of DVDs made in between 1998 and like I think like 2021. Every single one of those DVDs that were pressed during that time are subject to like extreme disc rot.
Yep.
Like, we're talking thousands upon thousands of movies and series that even if you don't watch them ever, the information is probably bled off the disc by now. They might not
Yep.
work.
Now, see, there's right there a con of physical. Now, while digital, you can have data corrupt as well. But to me, I kind of just stick with like a hybrid thing. I buy physical if I want it physical. If I want it digital, I buy it digital. I know where the world's going to. I know where like gaming and stuff is going to. You see it all the time. You even see what Microsoft's doing. You know, pulling physical games because they want to go. They want to be an all. They want everybody to go to Game Pass. Game Pass is their ultimate goal.
Yeah.
That's why at their showcase last weekend, they showed off all these new games that are coming out or sequels to games or
And no,
whatever.
Blu-ray is also susceptible, by the way. The Blu-rays are on that master list.
I was honestly gonna.
Because I saw one of those comments that come down. So you just get the Blu-ray. No, it's on the master list. If you want to see find retro blasting. Find retro blasting, the DVD discussion. He talks about it, and he also has links to a master list. It's thousands upon thousands of DVDs and series that were not pressed right that are suffering disc rot and disc bleed. And you don't have to watch them to have that happen. You can buy them, keep them wrapped, put them on your shelf, and the information will just bleed off over time, and then you don't have it. This question.
It's kind of like VHS. They would just demagnetize over time.
Does it work on? It's not the same issue with video games. Though,
I don't
right?
know. I don't know. The only discussion that I came across was movies, and then I started worrying. And recently, my wife wanted to go back to watch Ally McBeal. She wanted to watch that series. So we put it in, disc 2, disc rot, it's dead. So then I tried to go, and here we go. Oh, just buy another one. You can't. It's stupid expensive now. For some reason, Ally McBeal does not stream on any service. I don't know why. I have no idea why. And it is ridiculously expensive for what it is. For what it is. It costs more money than I'm willing to pay for what it is to replace one disc. And I don't know why I don't know why it's like that. But there's this question. Okay, because I knew this is coming. Every time we talk about this, here comes the defensive part. Then why have physical toys? I'll tell you why. It's tactile. I'm paying for a tactile experience. Why have physical toys? Because I want to do photography with them. Because I want to move them. Because I want to pose them and put them in the yard and do things like Battle Cat standing next to He-Man. I have an entire folder of my own personal photography. I am a photographer at heart. I've done hundreds of pictures. And to pat myself on the back, I've done good with quite a few of them, actually. And so going from that, why are toys different? And because I also see this, okay, what about the NTF figures from McFarlane? Do you like those? No. Why? Because what is a toy? A toy is something you play with. What's the most important point of a toy? To be able to play with it. As ridiculous as that sounds, I want to touch this battle cat with my phalanges. I want to put my phalanges on this battle cat. Nice kitty. That's what I want to do. Sometimes I'll do it exactly that way too, just to put that image in your mind forever now. And while my phalanges fondle my battle cat, I get the tactile experience that I specifically paid for.
So what you're saying is you just like fingering your pussy.
You can pet that pussy real good.
But there's a reason this argument, you can't use that to kind of self-justify, and I'm going to tell you why. What is a toy? You play with it. That's the point of it. What's the point of a video game? To play it. Yeah. So a digital game or a physical game makes no difference. Either way, I'm going to play the game. I need the experience of playing the game. I could play like those guys on TV that aren't actually playing games, that are like, and they're just pushing like 50 buttons, and you're like, what game are you playing that's like that hardcore? Yeah, exactly. He's playing a game right now. He's playing a game. That's exactly how games are played. Whether they be digital or physical, that's exactly what playing games is.
In movies and TV.
In movies and TV. Yeah, so that's not the same argument, but like, that's the reason I bring it up. There are differences. There are pros and cons to each, and depending on the kind of collector you are, that's fine. I'm not dissuading anybody. I'm just being realistic about the ins and outs of the situation at hand. And there's a convenience to where the industry has taken us moving forward. Digital toys, I don't understand digital toys. The point is to play with the toy. The point of a comic book, personally, is to read it and to enjoy the artwork and to be a part of the story. And then when you sit around a campfire at night, I'm just going to use that analogy because we actually do that here. I have a bonfire in my backyard. Mm-hmm. We make fires and we sit around and we eat marshmallows and stuff. And we hang out and we talk. When we're talking about something, I don't have to be like, oh, so I was reading this book, or the most recent, we're like going to talk about the Power Rangers comic book or something like that. I don't have to be like, hold on, let me go get it. I just talk about it because the most important part of the comic book was the story and the artwork, and I can just discuss that with you. I can't discuss the toy with you. I can tell you that I have the Eternian playset. It's not the same thing as seeing it. There's a huge difference.
It's not like this thing.
Right.
Where for us, having physical copies is way the fuck better than trying to hunt it down on Netflix, Hulu, fucking YouTube, fucking buying all the shit through Amazon. It's completely different. You just buy it, stream it, watch it yourself. We, doing the show, need this physical piece of shit to take up space.
It does. It helps because we can't guarantee the streaming service will have what we need, and we all have to be on the same page when we decide to review it. So for us, for the kind of collectors and situations we're in, it's important that we have the physical copy. So that's just it. Because like I see this, and you look, I'm 40 years old, guys. I've lived through all of this. I've watched music change in my lifetime. I had a tape player. I didn't have a fancy thing. I had a little tape player that I used to carry like one tape, and I used to make, in order to make music or whatever, I didn't like burn it from my computer onto a CD. When I was growing up, I had to like listen to the radio and wait and guess when the song I wanted was coming on and push the red button and hope that I got it and hope that the announcer guy didn't decide to do the news in the middle of the fucking song.
Yep.
You know, this whole topic though, like whether or not physical, digital, better or worse, I guess really what it comes down to it is people have their own opinions. You know, if you like physical stuff, go for it, you know. Everybody's got to know the risks of anything they go into. Just like if you want to have an all digital gaming library, That's your prerogative. I mean, that's a lot of hard drives because games take up a lot of space now. But to me, I've never really. This is probably the one topic though I've never really truly cared, because as long as people like the same stuff I was liking, or they like fandom, it don't matter how you have your fandom, physical, digital, we can still
Mm-hmm.
talk about it. I don't really care. As long as you can get a hold of it, I don't care. I want to talk about the fandom, but I don't care how the means in which you get it, physical, digital, as long as you can get it so we could talk about it.
Right.
Right.
That's really what it comes down to. It's just your prerogative. If you want
So
physical,
you're
go for it.
saying the most important part about the story is the story?
It's always the story. I'm just saying.
Right.
I've never. I don't mean. I find arguing about it's just tedious, in my opinion.
It
It's just
is.
No,
because I just don't care. To me, if
believe
you.
me, believe me, I know.
But
There
that's
was a
why.
dude that I would talk to all the time. Me and him would talk about music all the time. He was a big, it's got to be physical, physical
It's
only.
gotta be.
Can't
It's
have
gotta
no
be
digital
physical.
music. Got to have the CD, got to have the record, got to have the 8-track, got to have the whatever the fuck. It's got to be on some type of physical, got to be physical. Switching over all my shit to jewel cases. Need to have CDs in the jewel case with the fucking art books and the lyric sheets and everything inside that jewel case.
I know who you're
And
talking about.
I got to a point where I was like, look, dude, if you want to talk about the band and like how well they play, how the vocalist sounds, how the tracks are working, everything like that, I got no problem talking to you. When you're trying to tell me that because I'm listening to the shit off of fucking YouTube music, since I'm paying for fucking YouTube premium, so I could just download a playlist that I made and fucking listen to that shit all night at work and get my job done, and you're gonna tell me I'm a dumbass, I'm gonna fucking walk away.
The funny
You
thing
and me
about
ain't
it is
talking.
that the artist doesn't even give a shit. The
Yep.
artist doesn't care if you bought it digitally. The artist doesn't care if you buy it physically. Heck,
Yep.
the artists in some cases just give the music away for free. The artist doesn't
Yep.
care if you stream it. You know what the artist cares about? The artist makes money from doing shows.
From shows and merch.
That's the money. Buy
Yeah.
a
So, like-
shirt. Buy a shirt. It actually supports the artist that you like more to own a shirt than it does to buy their CD. As screwed
Yep.
up as that sounds, that's the truth of the industry you're living in. There's this long-winded thing here that is also a falsity, by the way. To me, the biggest change in fiction and fandom is how short-term attention grabbing, rather than passionate, thought-provoking comics and movies are the norm. How new gen fans seek instant gratification. That and how the mega media corps are focusing on making profit rather than good art. That's causing even legacy characters and communities to be ruined. And in certain respects, the American comic and animation film industry is being eclipsed by things like Japanese manga. I get where you're coming from, but it's also a bit of a falsity. See, the comic book industry has always been about making money. There have
Yep.
been some passionate people that have worked for it. But if you actually, there's a guy on YouTube, okay? I'll promote a different YouTuber here. His name is Matt. His channel is Matt, Matttt. Find him. Why? Because if you want to know the actual history of like comics in the state that it's in, how it got there, and how money played into it, and how many, even some of the things that you absolutely love were literally decided by the industry and the money, you would be shocked. Listen to some of that guy's history courses, because he teaches actual comic history, and he goes hardcore in depth. Like, he tracks down the very first original, like, thing in terms of each comic, like when split things started happening, and when like movement first developed in comics, and when it left comic strips, and like how comic strips played in it's he goes into more detail in a better way and a more realistic way than anybody I've ever seen. Like, he's crazy, and it's all business. It's always been business. It's not just the people that want like instant gratification. Your grandmother wanted instant gratification. She just didn't have the fucking microwave.
Yep. In fact, let me put it a completely different way. Do you go to work for the fuck of it, or do you go to work so you could get a fucking paycheck?
Right. Who's going to work because they're all super passionate about picking parts, sweeping floors, making foods? Yeah. That might be fair if you're like a world-renowned chef.
Right. If your ass is fucking Gordon Ramsay, yeah, you might just go into a kitchen and just start making shit for the fuck of it. But if you've got bills to pay, like the three of us do, like most of you fucking at home or possibly even at work watching or listening to this shit, you go the fuck to work because you got to get them bills paid. You don't pay them bills, lights go out, you don't have internet, you can't get a food, got no gas in your car.
The industries have always been money grabs, and it's no different. Here's the truth of it. My dad used to say, but I'm serious. This is something that my dad said years ago that I never really realized until I got quite a bit older. The most passionate, talented people in the world, you will never see their work.
Yeah.
Ever. Just because like one band got really, really big, they had a media influence behind them that made them that big. Period. Realistically, the flip of a coin could have saw that instead of Black Sabbath becoming one of the biggest bands on the planet, they could have completely been bypassed, left where they were, and become working job schmoes, while some other band called Infinite Loop took their place.
Yep.
And chances are, like, you can go to dive bars and find people that can play blues guitar better than anything you're currently hearing on the radio, and it will make you say, just like when you hear the song Piano Man, man, what are you doing here? How come you're not mega rich? How come you haven't made it? Because it's a bolt of lightning, guys. You don't know. And it's great to sometimes fall into this area where you like start making money and you can be something. But look, what's his name? Rob Liefeld? Look at that guy. Look at that guy's history and tell me that a 19-year-old that went to a comic book convention with a couple of pieces of paper and said, hey, I love comic books. And this guy said, welcome to DC Comics. And they gave him what was it? They gave him Dove and I can't remember. They gave him Dove and her partner. But that was like his first book, and he literally became one of the biggest names in comic book influence. Hawk and Dove. He became one of the biggest comic book makers ever, and was super passionate about comic books and really loved everything he was doing, and is still actually passionate about the stuff that he does. If you ever hear him talk in conventions and whatnot, but he even fell into it's time to make money.
Yep.
That's why people make fun of him for his artwork, is because, like, he actually fell into that for a while. In fact, if you want to see an entire study and history report on that, MATTTTT. He'll go over every single issue from the beginning to the end of what brought that guy into fame and what brought that guy down and where he is in his present day.
In fact, if you're into music, I want you to look up...
I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. I want you to look up Operation Ivy. Op Ivy literally has only released one album. They played around in dive bars. They did up all the shit that they needed to do. They got a fucking record contract. They made one fucking album. And after they made one fucking album, they purposely went through and dissolved the band because they were a punk rock band and said, you know what? We did this so that when we can get our music out there, but we don't want to work for the man. We did this for the studio time. Peace. And they literally dissolved the band so that way then the contract would expire, and they came back together as a completely different band, then dissolved that one to go back to being fucking Operation Ivy again.
Yeah. Yeah, so that they don't get looped into the actual business side of things. They're just trying to make some music. And you know what those people do? They be broke. They don't have money, and they don't have influence, and they don't have reach. They have the integrity of the artwork in which they've chosen to do. Case in point, one of the biggest foundations of media in my life is Conan the Barbarian. Robert E. Howard was not rich. He was not famous. And he was not appreciated whilst he was alive. And he didn't have the industry backing him. That happened after he died. And because he was never pivoted in that way, people discovered his stuff and realized how ahead of his time it was. But it wasn't being pushed because it didn't make money.
Yep.
Real influences and artists often die penniless.
Yep.
Because they're not doing business, they're doing passion projects. It's not the same argument. And but here's the big problem with digital versions of things. See, we're still here. This is impossible to get away from because people, they get so defensive about this. The company hosting it could just easily take it down forever. You're not talking about digital versions. You're talking about streaming versions. Different argument. See, digital is a file that I own. When I buy a comic book, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 16-pack that's currently out on Humble Bundle, I will be given a download, a PDF file. That's my file. Mine. I can put it on both of my pads. I can put it on my computer. I can back it up on a hard drive. I can store that hard drive in a lockbox or whatever I want to do and come back to it anytime I want. A streaming service that has access to your media can remove that media. But let's go ahead and pivot that back to another argument then. For years, nobody owned Batman the 66 series.
Yeah.
Because the companies that owned it didn't want to sell it. What do you do then? What do you do then with your physical copy when the industry won't sell the physical copy? And you're like, well, I got it physical, so it doesn't matter. House fire! It's no longer on the market. It's not in print. What do? Do you steal it? Do you torrent it digitally? Do you steal it? Because there's no other way to obtain it.
You go to eBay.
You go to eBay and pay pay aftermarket prices.
Paying like $1,000 for that motherfucker, knowing full well you ain't gonna get your hands on it unless you cough up money.
What if I want to be a pirate?
Arg!
Yar har fiddle dee motherfucker.
Right.
That's how when my ass was broke in my fucking 20s, that's how I watched great fucking movies like Equilibrium and Old Boy and
Pocahontas.
What?
Pocahontas.
No, I actually we had that on VHS because my mom fucking collected all the soft case fucking Disney movies.
I know what you're talking
my
about.
Brother and sister, yes. But yeah, no, I fucking downloaded a lot of shit. Fuck, it took me years to figure out about Zebrahead. You know what the first thing I did was, as soon as I figured out about torrenting, I fucking torrented every single one of Zebrahead's albums. I listened to all that shit on a fucking loop. Personally, they have not put out a bad fucking album yet. They've put out a couple bad songs, but no bad fucking albums. There's all sorts of shit.
Yeah, that's just and that's what I mean about but the state of fandom as well reaches into, because this is a deep topic. It really is. The state of fandom also reaches back into something else. It's where you currently see things, and this is exactly why this argument is a big thing. Is I'm trying to tell you, while everybody argues with me about digital versus physical, this is where I am in my current state of fandom. What's important to me in comic books right now? Reading the story. And that's it. And it's not even necessarily keeping up with the current storylines. It's reading the stuff that I want to read. What do I want to read right now? I want to read every book of Red Sonja that's ever been put out. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I want to do it. I'm pretty close. I actually am. I have like a 27 gig file so far collected of Red Sonja digital stuff. And then I have hundreds and hundreds of books stored away that are Red Sonja. I want to read all of Conan the Barbarian, at least the original Marvel years, and then go from there, however I feel. And I'm very close to doing that too. I'm 5 omnibus into finishing that entire thing. But what really matters to me about this is reading it. Not keeping up with something, reading it. I want to know the story. And I don't want to read a Wikipedia thing, like, because I have that too, where I've had arguments with people that are like, well, what happened is this. And I'm like, no, I read that issue. You read Wikipedia. I can get the issue and bring it out right now and show it to you. You don't know what you're talking about because you read third-hand information about a thing. You didn't actually read the thing. Yep. I don't want that third-hand information. I want to be a part of seeing the art with my own eyes. I don't want to be told by somebody on YouTube, this is what the story was. I want to read it. I want to read it.
That's why I don't watch streamers, because I want to play the game. I don't want to watch you play the game.
Right.
Yes and no.
Okay, hold on.
The game.
Yes, I was just about to say.
No, you don't just throw out all your stuff because it doesn't matter. I'm telling you that this is all different for different people, and this is a state of the fandom argument. Because what you're doing right now, see, this is what I mean. People get defensive. They buy things and they put them on their shelf. And then that makes them feel tactile. They own it. It's theirs. You don't actually own it, by the way. Anything that you own. Even the DVDs that you own, you're still renting them. It says so. You can't... You know you're not even supposed to have a public viewing of it? And you know that public viewing can literally mean... you could literally take your DVD and you could watch it. And if you watch it like with your friend and you didn't get permission, technically it's illegal. As ridiculous as that sounds.
Yep.
You can't tape a football game and watch it. It's actually illegal. You're not supposed to do that. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like, my father still every football season has on the DVR about 4 or 5 different games from 4 or 5 different teams so he can keep up with everything that's fucking going on.
What I'm telling you is you need to reevaluate how you see this. It's not an argument of digital versus physical. And that's what people make it. And then they get real defensive about the side that they've chosen. Listen, I grew up in the console wars. I was on the playground with the stupid fucking kids that were like, Super Nintendo! No, fucking Sega! Guess what?
Blast processing!
Neither one of those fucking things mattered.
It's Xbox!
The only thing that mattered was playing the games.
Yeah,
and it took us until we were like in our upper 20s to really realize that and just play games instead of like fighting. I'm a Sony kid. I'm like Sony. Well, I'm Xbox. You're fucking boxing. Nobody gives a shit.
No.
Play games.
I would say yes and no to that argument, but only because while we were in high school, we had fucking Gamers United, where you would grab your PS2, fucking pack everything up and walk up to Brandon's house, where Brandon had a fucking Xbox, and I would pack up my GameCube and drag my GameCube over, and we would spend literally from Friday night at 6 o'clock at night until Saturday morning at fucking 8 a.m. up all night just playing fucking games, throwing down quarters into a box going, I bet you I could beat your motherfucking ass in that goddamn fucking Gundam game.
Right.
I'm going to take that fucking Char Red Zaku and I'm going to beat the shit up out of you.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. You always use as a Char Zaku. It's the best thing.
Like he says, this guy right here says, not sure if I mentioned it already, but if we're talking about the state of fandom, let's talk about the reaction to new Star Wars and the Star Wars fan versus Disney Star Wars fans. I don't know that I have anything left to say about that now. Like, here's the truth of it. They deleted the expanded universe. I honestly don't give a shit. I know people liked the expanded. I don't want to do homework in order to talk to you about fandom. And that's exactly one of the things we're arguing right here. What's important? Is it important that you read the story so that we can talk about the story? Or is it important that you personally, Shane, I'm going to need you to go buy $2,000, and that is not an understatement, by the way, I'm being very honest with you, $2,000 worth of Conan the Barbarian compendiums because I want to talk Conan the Barbarian with you. And I don't want you to read it digitally. That's bullshit. That's for bitches. I want you to own it, put it on your shelf, read it, and then come talk to me.
Got it. Ordering it now.
Good. Because otherwise, you're not even a person to me.
Quick question. Can I borrow $2,000?
No, because I have $2 in my bank account.
And that's what I mean. The argument between that, look, it's just a lot of stuff has changed in terms of that. I don't need it. I didn't need the expanded universe to begin with. It was cool that it existed. And I enjoyed reading it, what I did read of it. And then they said, hey guys, to make this easier, we're going to delete everything. And we're just going to pick up from there. And so you're all caught up. Everybody's already watched 6 movies, right? Did you watch 6 movies? Great. Let's go from there. And now all the material that you watch is just what you need to watch. And all these extra comic books and everything that they're talking about with Disney, guess what? That's more expanded material. Star Wars makes its home on the screen. If it didn't happen on the screen, it didn't happen.
Yep.
Period. Mm-hmm. It didn't happen. I don't care how many comic books and everything are canon. It didn't happen. I promise you, just like Star Trek and Star Wars before it, give it another 15, 20 years. Yeah, not even that. I promise you, if you read that comic book right now, the comic book is already contradicting the show and the comic book itself. Because they're just side stories. They're just fun, extra things that you can get into. But people become so entwined. They get so serious about it that it becomes the absolute biblical law. And it's not. If it appears on screen, we can argue about it. And that's it. Because that's where it makes its home.
That's why I said I don't really care how you get your media as long as we could talk about it.
Right.
That's different.
I just want to talk about stuff or play the stuff. That's the whole crossplay thing. I don't care if you want to. I'm playing Call of Duty on PC. I want to play with you. I don't care if you're playing it on Xbox or PlayStation. I don't care. Just get in here and let's play. I'm not going to sit there and be like, you do realize that with a mouse and keyboard, I have much more accurate shooting than your controller. You plebe.
Right.
I'm not going to do that. I don't care. I really, truly don't. Now, some people do. That's your... Dude, I'm not going to argue with you, but if you want to argue with somebody else, I'll watch you argue with that person.
Right.
But I just don't care.
I've already done videos on this.
Media, though.
I've already done videos on the what about edited copies of digital comic books. If you edit the material, you devalue the art. Period. Yep. That's simple. If you've edited something and changed something, is the edit something you can live with? That's the question you've got to ask yourself. I don't want them to change anything. I think it's subject to the time that it was created, and art is subject to the time in which it is created, and we leave it alone and we learn from it. And even if it bothers you, maybe it should. Maybe that's something of the time that you should understand. But the argument, I recently read back through all of Dragon Ball and all of Dragon Ball Z. I bought those deluxe books.
Okay. Which is funny. I was just about to bring that up.
There is an edit in those books. Bulma, instead of giving the middle finger, gives the pointer finger. I don't know why. They decided this was the change they wanted to make. They were like, they made her do this.
Because that's offensive.
Instead of putting up the other finger, they made her do this.
Yep.
I looked at it. I knew that it was different. And I said, why? Yep. And then I read the rest of the book. It honestly didn't bother me that much. I don't like that it was changed. I called them out for changing it. I don't think that anything should be altered artwork-wise like that. Mm-hmm. But is it enough that it destroys the story you're currently reading? It didn't bother me that bad. Now, I would argue in some cases it's not okay. And in that case, it's not okay.
Yeah, because that changes the entire attitude.
Right, it changed her attitude, which changes a mild part of the story. That's important. We should not abide the idea that they change. I don't care if you want to read it digitally or if you want to read it physically. I don't give a shit.
God damn it.
But it should be exactly what it was when it was created under the artist's original intention.
Mm-hmm.
And it should not be altered.
Now all I can think of is fucking One Piece where fucking, I can't remember which character it is. Yeah, he gets the fucking shotgun in the face, but they had to edit it to make it safe for kids.
It's like
so
a
instead of it
squirt
being
gun?
a shotgun. No, it's a fucking shovel.
It is. It's a shovel. They pointed a shovel in his face.
So
it's,
they're literally like a shotgun like this, but they're holding a shovel, and it's like, why would you hold a shovel that way? For one,
why would you hold a shovel that way?
Well,
And then to make it worse, then he takes a bite out of the shovel. Like, you just made it worse, dumbass.
Man,
what are you?
Man, in the 4Kids version of One Piece, they gave Sanji, instead of the cigarette, they gave him a lollipop.
Lollipop.
And he was always holding it like a cigarette.
Yeah.
So it was actually kind of awkward.
Yeah, because instead of just changing it from fucking from changing it from TVY7 to changing it to T for teen, they're like, maybe we should just we'll make it like a giant lollipop, and then it'll be. Who gives a shit? Fucking put that shit on Adult Swim if it comes down to it.
Right.
Where you're gonna fucking have to. If Spike Spiegel walked up and he's supposed to be smoking, and this motherfucker does like this and he pulls out a fucking lollipop, I'm done with fucking Cowboy Bebop.
I'm done with Cowboy Bebop. Yeah.
My question is, and I get this, but like, and I get you don't want your kids to see that, and I get that. I really do. But there's not much of a difference when you're watching it on TV, or if you have kids and your kid looks over and you're smoking. They're still seeing it.
Well, that's just called hypocrisy. We all have that.
Yes.
Very, very true.
It's kind of like, not to bring it political, but I mean, to be fair, you've got it up on the screen from fucking Wiki. When it comes down to like history books and, rewriting history to make it seem not as bad, unfortunately, history is written by the victors of the wars. That's a simple fact.
Okay, so you're talking about this guy's comment. What do you feel about physical versus digital debate applied to books like history books? This is a loaded question. So first, history books. Sometimes, and I personally feel that in terms of schools, instead of selling them books, which will be outdated in like 2 or 3 years anyways, because we always learn something new, a digital file that could be updated every year with current line information is better. You want your kids to be better than you are.
Yep.
Period. I'm not even getting political. You want your kids to be better than you are. You want to be able to look at your kid, and I'm not kidding about this, you want to feel like a piece of shit. I'm not kidding. You want to feel like your kid is a better person than you are.
Yep.
They need to be as good, if not better. That's your goal. That's your goal in life for having kids. Part of that is not changing history and lying about it.
Nah.
But the information that you were fed, it's time to wake up and understand that a good portion of your history books were bullshit.
Yep.
They were bullshit. And if you could have a digital file that updates the information that we learn and teach real history to kids as we go, then that's fine. No argument with that at all. But if you want to teach fake propagandized history, that's a different argument altogether. And I'm not going to go to any of the political sides that you believe one way or another. I'm just going to tell you that. Teach real shit to these kids and let them be better than we were.
Don't worry, I will, because that reminds me of the Christopher Titus joke. Clearly you don't understand that reference. You are not a student of history and went to a public school with textbooks from Texas.
Also says,
let's be honest, all of our textbooks were written in Texas.
Storybooks as opposed to comic books and DVDs. I'm not sure what you're asking there. Digital storybooks? Whatever. I already told you I don't like subject matter to be changed. History is not the same argument. Post real history, don't teach the propagandized shit that we learned when we were growing up. But if you want to talk about storybooks, whether they be digital or physical, I don't give a shit. The most important thing about it is the story. And the story does come down to how it was written and the intention of the artist at the time. You cannot change the narrative at hand, the artwork or anything like that, without changing the narrative that's being displayed. And art is subject to the time in which it was made, and it's supposed to induce a certain feeling. If you change the wording or structure or design or art of that art, it is no longer sending the same emotional impactive message. It is no longer the same property. Do not alter these medias as you put them out. History is not the same argument. What about edited versions of movies, books, put out on digital when it's not edited on physical media? A lot of them are edited on physical media, let's be honest with ourselves. The movie that you watch in the theater is not the thing that the director wanted you to see in the first place. Never, by the way. Ever. There's always a fucking director's cut. The other part of your argument there is when they edit something from physical into digital, and then it's different when you buy the digital copy. It's different when you buy the DVDs. Just go back to the 1931 fucking Dracula. When they released it on Laserdisc, it was a different movie than when they released it on DVD. And then it was a different movie when they again released it on DVD later. And it was a different movie again when they released it on Blu-ray.
Yep.
These are always edited. I'm not telling you they should be. I've already made that argument, and I've made it very clear where I stand on it. But unless you want to do some hard research, the version of the movie that you watch is almost always not the intended version of the movie, nor is it necessarily the movie that your parents watched, or so on and so forth. Just look at Wrath of Khan. I grew up watching the director's edition, not realizing that I was not watching the theatrical edition. Then went to the theater and saw the theatrical cut when they brought it back to the movies, and I was like, where's the 10 minutes of the movie that, like, fucking matter?
Yep.
But But the original version of that movie... The original version of that movie doesn't have all that extra stuff. So which version of the movie is the right one to watch? The theatrical cut? Because that came first!
No, I remember we had a giant fucking almost knockdown, drag-out fist fight one day because I kept telling you that the Ben Affleck Daredevil is a good movie, and you kept telling me, no, that movie's horseshit. Then I brought my copy of the movie over, not realizing it was the fucking director's cut, and you're like, wait, what? I don't remember this scene. I don't remember that happening.
Yeah, watching the director's cut is very different. It's a very different experience.
Because the director's cut is how the movie was supposed to be. The theatrical cut is what the fuck the studio wanted it to be so they could get them asses in seats and make money.
But if we are to argue in the sense of purists that the original version was the theatrical cut, then that's the one you should watch. Yep. I'm not telling you it's right, but that's the one you should watch, and you should not buy a different version. Every movie that you buy, every time it is reprinted, is changed. Is that right? No. But then if we're to argue that, just like I have 3 different versions of Enter the Dragon, and they all feel different when I watch them. It feels different on DVD, it feels different on the first Blu-ray release, and it feels different on the third Blu-ray release. They all feel different. They all have different scenes and different timing in different small areas where there have been edited changes. And I notice them because it's one of my favorite movies of all time. So I'm not telling you that's right, but now you're getting into what version is right. What's the real one? Was it the one that came out in the theaters first? Because then we need to delete all the philosophical side of the Bruce Lee stuff. That doesn't belong in the movie. Because people didn't see that in the theaters. It doesn't belong there. So when you add it to the DVD, the special release or the Blu-ray, is that now a bad version of the movie because it's not right, because it's a different version of the movie? This one is very complicated. I would almost tell you pick the one that resonates with you more because art is supposed to speak to you subjectively. I don't know if that's necessarily right, but this is a very loaded question and it doesn't have a real answer. Because every version of a movie released is different. Every one. From the theater to the DVD to the unrelated to the director's cut. It's all different. And every movie is like that. Every single friggin' one. Or the online edit, where they actually put all the deleted scenes back in the movie. Is that the best one? Sometimes you could argue the deleted scenes taken out actually made the movie work.
Yep. Other times you can argue that the deleted scenes being added back in makes the movie worse.
That's true too.
That's the reason why some of them were deleted.
So, I mean, where do you go with that? What alternate take do you go with? Have you seen Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man it's like 2.1? Because those are two very different feeling movies. And it's very hard to decide which one of those is honestly superior. Look at the Lester versus Donner cut of Superman 2. Same movie, completely different scenes, completely different feeling. What's the real one? The one that came out in the theaters? That's Lester. But if Donner is a better movie, and I honestly think the Donner version is a better movie, but it's evidently not right.
Yeah. Just like there was an episode that we did where we reviewed this movie called, what was it? I think it was called Power Rangers. Where I kept bringing up that there was deleted scenes as Rita Repulsa's, sitting on a ceiling spitting on people. I was like,
right.
Oh yeah, there's a deleted scene here. Well, that's a deleted scene. It doesn't count.
Right.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I'm saying this explains why this is happening. Well, it doesn't matter. It's not in the movie. Fuck you.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Okay, fine. Fuck it. I'll shut the fuck up.
And that's why that argument happens, is because what version of the movie is right? And there is an argument for both sides of that. That's a complicated question. That's a hard State of Fandom question. This is true too. I brought up when Han Solo shoots Greedo, it changes if he doesn't shoot Greedo first, if
Greedo shoots and his fucking neck just goes like this, yeah, that changes Han's character.
If Greedo shoots at all, it damages Han's character. Han's character is the kind of person that will shoot you at the breakfast table, not blink, not give a shit, flip the bartender a nickel and be like, sorry about that shit, he was bugging me, I'm out. And through the course of 3 movies, he goes through dynamic change. He's a very different person. That is not the same Han Solo that was sitting in that chair in the first movie when you get to Return of the Jedi. And that's important. But if you have him do a dodge to protect himself and then shoot in self-defense, now he has almost no character development from New Hope to Jedi. Almost none. Deleted his character progression. Which is the reason I say, do not edit or censor original material, because it damages the art and the original intention intended. You can't do that.
Now, the Han that shoots Greedo while sitting at a table, when he walks across Jabba's tail, okay, that adds to the fact that he just shot Greedo for the fuck of it.
And I'm fine with that, because he's a very I don't even know how to phrase it, but yeah, you're right. Because
he's an asshole character.
Even that scene that they add in, where he walks across, because that's a deleted scene, but it was originally filmed. Does it belong in the movie? Is the original version that scene in the movie, or does the original version of that movie need to have that scene removed forever and never be referenced as any kind of a canon, even though it does honestly help Han's character?
Yep.
And you understand the story more. But that scene was originally deleted, so it doesn't belong in the film. So, yeah, that's a loaded question.
We're playing shotgun or buckshot roulette, boys. It's 1 blank and 15 live. Let's play.
Absolutely.
I'll take the high ground here and just say whatever version you prefer.
And that's what I said that too. Which version speaks to you? Because art is supposed to be subjective, and the point of art is that it speaks to you. It speaks to you on a personal level, on an emotional level, on an intelligent level. It makes you think.
Because overall, when you think about it, does that scene change the overall story?
It might. I mean, you know about Jabba. You know why he took the job. You know that he's got a past, and that past can bite him in the ass. and you know why he's as brazen as he is. Without that scene, he's just some guy you met at the bar that's going to give you a ride home. He's a fucking Uber driver that shoots somebody.
Yeah. So the scene where he steps on the tail also adds to later on when fucking Han gets captured, put in fucking carbonite, and all of a sudden he's just mounted on the wall as a fucking permanent sculpture. Hey, this is what happens to motherfuckers that fuck with me.
That also shows you why it's shoot first, ask questions later. Because the world that he comes from, you don't get to play games. You react or you're reacted.
Yep.
So that is very, very important to the overall design of the Han Solo character. But it wasn't in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Originally.
Yep. Like, my wife and I, because she made the comment the other day, you know, I've never seen any of the Saw movies. And I said, well, fuck, I know what we're doing for the next week. And we watched through all of them. You can get, through streaming services, I want to say 1 to 5. 6, we had to fucking buy. And when I bought it, it's either 6 or 7, but one of them I had to fucking buy. When I bought it, I bought the movie not even realizing I bought the director's cut, which thank God I did. Because in the director's cut, there's a scene in Saw where you get to see that Amanda, his first fucking apprentice, literally is part of the reason why Jigsaw is doing the shit that he's fucking doing. Because she was there with the guy who slammed the door into his wife's stomach as she was pregnant and killed their unborn child. Without that domino falling over, Jigsaw wouldn't have fucking happened. John Kramer would have just been some random dude trying to be as philanthropic as humanly possible and trying to save people's lives and being like, look, you're an alcoholic, you need to go to AA, you're a drug addict, you need to go to rehab, He would have done that instead of, hey, I want to play a game. In front of you is a roll of duct tape. You need to wipe all the shit out of your ass as quickly as possible. You have 2 minutes. Go.
Ouch!
Just kill me.
just kill me, he says.
Oh, just kill you? You're not the hairy motherfucker that has hair on your ass cheeks.
Oh my gosh.
Ah! This
Get Brazilians easier.
Yeah, no shit.
Duct tape. Woo!
Ooh, boy.
I know, man. It's so crazy. And recently, because I actually think this is what I'm talking about. This will have to be broken down into a couple of episodes, in all honesty. The point of this is actually to get ourselves back on track. We need to know where we sit in terms of stuff like this. Because right now we went on a big discussion, and look, the way this show works is we start a discussion, wherever that takes us is wherever that takes us. That's the point of the show. And sometimes, because this is a live fandom podcast, the conversation is going to take us in different directions. But for the next couple episodes, we need to hammer down one major question, and we are going to continue those episode reviews. Now that we know that we can do it without having to put the pictures up, we can just come in and talk about the show, and people are going to be okay with it. Because we needed to know, because for years we've done the episode reviews and we've done the pictures so that you guys have a reference and we can make jokes. The fact that this is an audio-visual podcast, but we could come in and do this and actually get through the series reviews, we're going to go back and finish that. So don't think that this is going to be the only thing we're doing. But we're trying to put something into perspective for ourselves. Like video games, okay? Because we just talked about books and where I stand and all that, because that brought a whole different thing. And then we started talking about movies and how we feel about stuff like that. And
which Bill's book conversation is one that he had over on Fandom with Reploid Bill. Go check that shit out. Shameless plug of the day. I beat him to it.
That's true. I did. I actually had this entire discussion. Yeah.
Because I didn't watch the live stream. I watched all of 2 minutes and I said, fuck, he's midway through. I'll just watch it after he's done while I'm at work. Give me something to do.
Right. Yeah, what I talked about a lot of things, actually.
Yeah, you talked about a lot of stuff, yes.
Yeah. I don't know why, but that live stream really got me. I got to speak about like different Star Wars stuff and all kinds of stuff like that in there. I don't know why. That one, and I got to talk about like the physical media and where I currently am with books and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, okay, so like video games, okay? We used to do this podcast all the time, and we used to come in and talk video games for hours.
Yep.
Hours. Literally. We would do 5-hour podcasts talking about games.
Yep.
The reason we're not really jumping down that line right now is because we're all living in very different points in our fandoms. And not
we're
just
also living very far apart.
Yeah, and not just in terms of like digital versus physical. Did I buy some digital games? You damn right I did, because it's easier for just me to turn my Switch on, and I'm tired of going to the store and never finding anything. I do want the Super Mario RPG. I want that one physical. I'd love to have the actual cart. It's a fucking memory card at this point. But you know what I'm talking about. I'd like to have that one physical. I don't want to just like get that digital. But like a lot of other games, I've just been like, oh, I don't give a shit. Like click, that's easier. But tagging that back, that's not the problem we're running into. Like you said, we've already discussed this. I don't care how you play it or where you play it. I care that you play it. You know the most important part about playing games? Fucking playing the game.
There you go.
Hold on. We must go to the format. The format is welcome to Controller Pileup. First, you see it.
Yep.
Then, you hear it. Now, we're going to play that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Then we're going to get ourselves engrossed in the tale. So, Shane, what is the tale of Silver Surfer on the NES?
Pain.
Okay. Now you
He
rate
straight up
this
gave you a
motherfucker.
Clubber Lang response. Pain.
If he dies, he dies. In the worst way.
Dude, I'm telling. Yeah, pain. That's all you can do is
Pain.
To explain
There's
that
gonna
game.
be pain for the character and pain for you.
You're gonna feel what's going on.
Oh my gosh.
Now you need to rate that motherfucker.
Ooh.
Man, it's as if we had a show about this. Oh, wait.
Like, we used to come in and we used to talk about the game news as it dropped. But realistically, where we are right now in our game lives is different for all of us. I'm actually at a point in my game life where something has to really grab my attention like crazy. I don't remember, and maybe you do, Shane, I don't know. I don't remember the last game that I bought at release.
The last one I can think of was
wasn't it Pokemon,
Bravely Default.
Wasn't it Pokemon Violet, Scarlet and Violet, because you got it for your daughter as well?
Technically, because that was the biggest reason, was I knew that my wife and my daughter wanted it.
So technically, that might have been it, and that was...
I was still living in my apartment.
Was that 2022 it came out?
No. If it did, it was late 2022. I want to say it was.
It was November. It's always November. I thought it was 2022. Or was it last year?
Pokemon. Let's see.
No, I think it could have been.
Scarlet and Violet.
No, it came out 2022.
Yeah, 2022.
So maybe that's the last one I can remember.
Right. And that's exactly what I'm getting at. It's been a while since I've honestly cared. But I don't watch the gaming news as it comes out. The only reason I really watch the Direct is because it just happens to be on the Switch. Otherwise, I'd miss it.
Same.
I'm not paying a whole lot of attention to anything. In fact, let's be honest about it. The games that I'm currently playing right now, I'm playing 2 video games right now. I'm playing, and they're both on the Switch, probably due to convenience, if you want the truth of it. That happens to be what's hooked up to the TV. That's what I'm playing. It's otherwise
Right.
and because I lost all of my fucking PlayStation data. So that kind of put me off of playing PlayStation games pretty hard. I got
wanna
locked out of my
ask
account. I got locked out of my account. There's a security code on my account. I can't get back into the account. And for whatever reason, the customer service would not help me. But they sure as shit charged me for another year of Plus.
Which means you need to call your credit card company and tell them, hey, I didn't actually buy that. Get rid of it.
But where I currently am in gaming, I'm playing Pokemon Scarlet because I finally decided to actually go ahead and beat it. Oh, and by the way, I now know what my problem with that game was. I figured it out. I know 100% why that game irritated me the way it did. And the other thing that I'm currently playing is Persona 4 Golden.
There you go.
Because they put it on sale for $10 and I was like, "Oh shit." I couldn't not buy it for a fifth time.
Right.
You're just helping the developer make another great Persona game.
I'm not oblivious to the fact that sometimes I'm ridiculous as well. I was like, I already own that on the PlayStation 2, and I own that for the computer, and I own that for the PlayStation 4, was it? And I own that for the Vita.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Vita.
And listen, the only reason I'm not gonna say anything to you after getting shit for years about doing the same goddamn double dipping is because you said it earlier. We all hypocrites.
Well,
Yep.
I'll also play this game. It's a little different than Final Fantasy IV.
Yeah, he's not
Bill,
wrong, because you
Bill,
buy Final Fantasy IV,
Bill.
you get up to the fucking mountain, and then you say, all right, I'm turning this off.
Bill, I'll get to it.
I know it'll happen.
One of these days, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna be like 60 or something. I'm gonna be like, hey,
No,
finally beat
no,
that goddamn
I
game.
finally beat that game.
no. You're gonna be a fucking brain in a jar with a robot body. You're gonna be like, I got nothing better to do. Fuck it. I don't need fine motor skills for fucking JRPG grind your dick off game.
But yeah,
Oh, this is interesting. This is actually on the docket, believe it or not. Look at that, Seth.
Yep.
Seth just recently watched all of them, which means at the very least I'm going to have to stomach all of them because somebody's got to talk it with him. And it's got to be either me or Nick. It ain't going to be Shane.
well, why is it not gonna be Shane?
You want to watch all the Saw movies, Shane?
Because of the second movie, Shane.
You want to watch all of them?
What if I told you that I have seen Saw?
All of them?
Like 4 of them. I got tired of it.
No, I'm just saying because
Did you? Because so did I, and then I just went back and rewatched all of them.
I know what happens in the second movie. Trust me. It's
Yeah, I was gonna say the
it's-
pit.
that-
Yeah.
that I never forget.
But
Uh-huh,
that's actually on the docket. We actually do plan to talk about those movies.
Oh yes. Okay. So yeah, I'm out.
And to be fair, Bill, while you may have the Saw collection, I think that only goes up to movie 6. I think you would still have to get 7. I want to say you'd have to get 7, 8, 9, which is Spiral, and then now Saw 10.
Yeah.
What about Jigsaw? Where does that fall in?
I believe. Okay, so it goes, I think 1 to 6. Then 7 should be No, 1 to 7 because then. No, it is. It's 1 to 6. 7 is Final Chapter, which fucking Jason Voorhees much.
Damn it.
Yeah, I know. Then you get Final Chapter, then you get Jigsaw, which is 8. Then you get Spiral, which is 9, and then you get 10.
Okay. Look, I have like a collector's box. I bought it a long time ago. I think it's got 9 of them.
No, it should only have 8 because
Does it have 8?
Yeah, it only have 8 if any
Okay.
of them because if it does go up to Jigsaw, Jigsaw is number 8. Spiral is number 9. Spiral released like 3 years ago.
Okay.
Because a magician dude that I used to watch on YouTube all the time, Chris Ramsey,
Yeah.
he was in the movie, and he even did like magic tricks for a bunch of the cast and crew, including like the producers, Chris Rock, who's one of the main stars of the movie, and the other dude who's supposed to be his partner in the movie. And then Saw 10, which just came out, I want to say last year. It was either last year or the year before.
All right.
As always, the continuity is if you want to watch it in storyline chronological order, good fucking luck, because I want to say it goes 6, then 10, then 1, 2, fucking 5, 4.
Of course it does.
Yeah, because, a lot of it is flashbacks and, showing other shit. And, oh, yeah, you remember this part that was set up in movie 1? Well, now we're going to pay that off in fucking movie 8.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah. And, yes, Wiki's right. There's flashbacks and twists. Because there's always twists with fucking Jigsaw, whether it be your arm or your head or a leg. Oh, you mean plotline twists. Oh, yeah, no, there's those two.
Okay. I'll get to it. But that's part of exactly what we've been talking about. Like, we're not all watching the same movies right now, which can make it tough for us to figure out what we're going to talk about. Like, if we want to come in here and discuss, like, if we want to talk horror movies around, like, Halloween, where does that put us? Like, what can we honestly talk about as a group? That's tough.
There's only one thing that we'd be able to do for horror movies as a group, and that would be we'd have to come up with more monster fights. Anything from modern versus modern and classic versus classic instead of just classic versus modern.
Right.
Or we need to come up with more classic versus modern, and good fucking luck.
Because we have to do that, because remember, if we watch anything too scary, I'm kind of a bitch.
Yep.
But like, so that puts us at a weird spot with talking horror movies and stuff like that. Like, and then movies in general. Not everybody's running out to watch the same movies right now. Like, that's just the way it is. I mean, we did get together to see the new Ghostbusters, but like, were we not going to go watch Ghostbusters? I mean, realistically, we knew all of us would see that. But then, what about Ninja Turtles? Did everybody see the new Turtles?
That silence should tell you everything.
Which one?
Oh, I've seen it twice, and I plan to watch it a third time already.
Which one again?
The new Turtles.
Which one? What's it called?
Mutant Mayhem.
Yeah, I've seen it once. I thought it was awesome.
Did you recognize during the car chase? Did you recognize what that song was?
No, probably not. I mean,
that's the He-Man Hey Yeah.
Oh, is it really?
It's that song. That's the one they're using during the car chase.
That's awesome.
Sounds all right.
It's so good. It's so awesome. Good. I enjoyed that movie. Look, there are things that I don't like about it, okay? But that's fair for every single one of the films.
Right.
But at least I enjoyed watching it. And that's something I can say because there's only so many Turtle movies I can, like, rewatch. I'll rewatch part 1 a million times. I'll rewatch part 2 sometimes. I have to be in the right mood. It's somewhat of a guilty pleasure because, like, I feel like they really hurt themselves going from 1 to 2. 2 is watchable, but it feels like they threw away everything they were working on with the first movie. I'll watch the 4th movie, believe it or not, but not very often. It's very rare. And I'll now watch this new movie. And yeah, you'll notice I left the Michael Bay movies out. I actually don't care for them, like...
They're not all that great.
At all.
I remember in a playlist that I'm about to share that there was a conversation that was had about how Megan Fox, April O'Neil is still way better than fucking Cardboard Bitch.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I still agree with that. The April they got for the second movie, Megan Fox is better than her. I said it. I said what I said.
Are you talking about? Secret of the Ooze?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, explain
Yeah,
why.
because that was the same
because
bitch from
that actress is
that
like
and Turtles in Time.
that actress, and I'm not kidding. It
Hey, hold
started.
on.
I never realized how much it irritated me. Like I don't, and it has to be the director's fault, by the way, because I've now seen her in a couple of other shows, and like she can act. So I know now, without a doubt, that there was a kids show, and either one of two things were going on. One, she was reeling it in and making a paycheck. I don't know,
Yep.
maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know much about this actress. I know that when I've seen her act, she can act. So maybe is she one of those actors that doesn't bring 100% to every role? Does she bring it to the ones that interest her? And when she goes for a paycheck, she like, let me reel this in real quick and I'll make some dollars. I don't know.
Oh.
Is it the director? I don't know. She has zero acting range in that movie. She's not happy, she's not sad. She's like this weird monotone, almost reaching real emotions. Like I don't feel like she's a real person the whole movie, and her reactions are absolutely down to a science depending on what turtle she's talking about. Like
Yep.
it's ridiculous. She talks to
I'm
Leonardo.
talking. Yeah.
She has one specific personality. She's going to talk to Mikey. Now it's time to laugh. Now she's having fun. She wants to talk to Raph. Now she's, I don't know, concerned. Like,
Well, let me tell you something. Looking up the actress's name, or looking up the movie and finding the actress very easily.
yeah,
knowing
she has
who it
one
is.
emotion per turtle, like this guy says right
Yep.
here. Like RPG64. He says he remembers this conversation.
She got better because I know what she's. I know I've seen. I know what I've seen her from now.
Yeah.
That one show I watched, the 100.
Right.
She did fine in that.
She
So-
can
Yeah,
act.
Shane, I even brought it up in the fucking Turtles 3 review. It's because when she went to that fucking flea market, she bought a goddamn personality.
Yeah. It's bizarre.
Yeah,
like,
but she decided to do it in the wrong movie.
Megan
Exactly.
Fox. Megan Fox is a better April O'Neil than Paige Turco.
Yep.
Now, okay, let me ask you this. Where do
And I
you
don't even
stand
like
with,
those movies.
Where do you stand with the original April O'Neil?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
She did.
Fan-fucking-tastic.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. Not only is she the best April, I'm going to tell you why. She didn't even like doing the movie.
Yep.
And you cannot tell. She acted her ass off for a movie that she didn't even want to be a part of. She was convinced by Robin Williams that this was good, go do it. So on Robin Williams' word, basically, she took the film, only to then find out that the film was something she didn't want to be a part of. It was violent, it played off a very certain kind of way, it gave messages that she wasn't very interested in playing, and she didn't want to be a part of it. In fact, there's multiple conversations that you can look up where people were like not liking to even work with her because she was constantly wanting to be like, I want to change that, I don't think that we should do this, let's not do that. I don't feel like I want to do this. Like just different things here and there where she was constantly like, she didn't want to be a part of what she was doing. But yet, they handed her the script. She read it and she said, okay, this is what my character's supposed to be doing. This is how the situation's supposed to play out. This is how I play it. I don't like that, but okay, let's do it. And she took her job as an actress seriously and acted her ass off. There is not a moment that I do not feel like she is April O'Neil. She's that character, even though she didn't even want to be in the movie.
Yep.
And she has even spoken out about how she thought the movie was not quite what she was hoping for when she signed on. It was like violent, and she didn't like that idea. And she referred to it as basically like hyper violent. And she wasn't very into that. She wanted to do family films and like fun things and, you know, maybe a couple serious things here and there, but she didn't like the idea of violence. And Ninja Turtles were, let's cut, stab, and kick people.
Yep.
And then make jokes about it.
Yeah,
For kids!
I mean, think about it back then. Just a year prior to the release of the Turtles movie, Batman came out, and Batman was R-rated.
Yeah.
And we were
Ain't
talking about
how they
live.
made it.
We were talking about live April O'Neil's. Yes, the best April is the 2012 Nicktoons.
Yeah.
But live action, yes, the first movie one I liked.
Yeah, she's
Yes.
fantastic.
Megan Fox in the
Is the
first
second
movie.
best April
In the first movie, she.
because
Whatever.
I only have so many live actions to choose from.
In the second movie, not so much.
Yeah,
No, I
Still
would
fine.
still put porn parody April above Megan Fox in terms
Oh.
of
that's so wrong.
believability is April. But I mean, when your name is literally April O'Neil, I mean, so it would go first movie, then porn parody, then Megan Fox.
Then, yeah.
No, it's wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this is something we're going to be discussing. We're going to come in here and we're going to discuss the state of fandom for a couple of episodes. We're going to talk about gaming. We're going to talk about movies. We're going to talk about how we feel about things and where we are personally in our lives with like what we do. Like I told you about where I am with comic books. I know the other two guys, it's not the same issue. Like Shane doesn't really read comic books anymore. He kind of dipped out of that, and I would say for part of the same reasons. Honestly, it was starting to become a money drop. He's got all of a sudden hundreds accumulating towards the 1,000 of issue mark, and like he can't keep up. Now they're just taking space in the rooms, and like where do you put them? And it's a pain. And
They're in my closet.
Yeah, he started to experiencing, and he experienced it at the beginning of the hobby.
Yep.
And so now he's kind of where I am. There's certain things he wants to read, but he'd either one probably be more comfortable reading it digitally, like I'm at the point of doing, or he buys the graphic novels so that he could just read an uninterrupted story.
Yep.
Like he bought all the Power Rangers.
Yes, I did. I bought
So
the
that he
Shattered.
can read an uninterrupted story that goes on his shelf nicely.
I'm basically at the point now where I don't want, if a story arc interests me, I'll buy it. I wanted the Shattered Grid because it's, like I said, I have it all right there. You can't see it because I have my camera off right now.
Right, but I get what you mean.
But I have all the Shattered Grid. And because I liked that storyline so much that I really wish they would bring I wanted to honestly come up like a live adaptation of it. I get you can't get a lot of
I was going to say they don't even have the option now.
No, not now.
Unless they change the influential bad guy figure.
Yes.
But now they've lost both people that can do it.
And
you could have reversed that concept and say when the green candle, because you could have done a what if. Say when the green candle burns out, it kills Tommy. Okay? Delete him from the story. Jason blames himself. He gets more violent. Starts making more aggressive decisions. He pushes to a point where he realizes that he could do this better as a single enforcer than with this team of people that he has to look out for. So maybe he alters the perception, combines takes the green coin and becomes green and red, and then realizes that if he takes the other coins, because they're just slowing him down anyway, he could go as a Mega Ranger and just go remove Rita from the equation, only to then be told that Lord Zed is actually a thing and come back and go, you lied to us, to Zordon. Mm-hmm. If you're unwilling to give us the facts, I don't need you leading us at all. Disables Zordon, destroys the command center inside and out, takes control from that point, and realizes with Lord Zed coming in, he's going to need an army. Maybe he forces Billy to be an unwilling scientific participant to create a protection force for the Earth, and you play off like an injustice, like a Superman injustice.
Well,
but now you can't do that either. Because the guy that played Jason is
in trouble.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you also can't do like an alternative version of the Shattered Grid, and you have to use a character that allows for the storyline to move from the beginning into dangerous territory. And they don't really have a character that can do it now.
Well,
Technically speaking, they could do it with Billy going evil somehow.
I'm
Not sure how
that
they
would
pull
work.
it off.
I get
but-
where you're going because he's the next pivotal possibility. Unless the death, you maybe, and this would take some real persuading.
Right.
But maybe the death of Tommy, because that's where you would have to pivot it. You'd have to go from the green candle. You'd have to cause a tragedy that splits the team. You kill the Green Ranger. Tommy dies. That power goes to Jason. Jason is blaming himself. He's not holding the team together. Kimberly steps into position. Kind of because we've already got an evil Kimberly and we know what that can look like. She steps in and starts taking control. She starts leading the team while Jason's all down and everything. She takes the green coin because she needs it, and Jason isn't pulling his weight anymore. He's kind of a broken man over failing the team. She then becomes a pink-green hybrid. And then, in a confrontation, when she makes a judgment call and Jason decides against that judgment call, like, look, I'm still the one in charge of the team. And then she can come back with, no, you're not, because you haven't been in charge of the team since this whole thing happened. You're not taking care of what needs to be taken care of. And he's like, I'm not going to let you do this.
Yep.
So she removes Jason from her path during a killing blow issue that may cost something else. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you get what I'm saying? So, and then she removes Jason. She goes through Jason to kill said monster that's a current problem or something like that. Maybe use that Doomsday storyline or whatever. She goes through Jason to get the job done. Now she has the red coin as well. And the rest of the team is kind of like afraid of her.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you got a Ranger with 3 coins. She's got a chip on her shoulder. She doesn't want this stuff to happen again. She's already lost 1 member through incompetence, by the way she sees it, and 1 member because of this, the evil spell thing. And now she's lost 2 friends and she refuses to lose another. So she takes command and everything else, and then that drives her down a dark path. And then the Rangers, being afraid of her, like after she kills Jason, they go and they talk to Zordon, and Zordon starts talking about there is a way to remove her powers. This is what we'd have to do. And maybe Zordon sends them to get that sword of power that supposedly can copy powers, but maybe it has another power just because I need a MacGuffin. It can also retrieve powers. So it can pull those coins.
Times. Deus Ex Morphing Grid.
It can pull those coins away from the current users, right? So they decide they'll go get that sword and they'll remove the powers from Kimberly so that they can try to settle her down. She gets word of it. She goes to the command center, destroys Zordon, and demands Alpha do what he's told. And Alpha sends her there to go get to stop the retrieval of the sword. So she goes to that planet, and in her going to that planet to stop the retrieval of the sword, she ends up killing the other members. And then goes back because she has enough power to do whatever she wants now. So she could self-teleport at that point. She self-teleports back to the command center, and then Alpha tells her, we can use the exact same storyline, she's a bigger threat to the world in her current position than even Lord Zed. And then she can ask, who's that? Oh, you've been keeping shit from me? And then go from there. You could probably use her to start a Shattered Grid event if you did it right.
Yep.
Hey, Bill, you got to be careful.
And it would still give her more credence to the title of Ranger Slayer.
And I should stop speaking all these storylines out loud because they already stole one of my ideas and never paid me for it.
Yeah,
I came up with that damn thing.
They've already stolen 2 of our ideas and we never got fucking paid for it.
I came up with that. I know it sounds ludicrous to make that claim, but I basically wrote the entire story of that Rangers reunion thing before it aired.
Always.
Yep.
We talked about it years ago about having Trainee's daughter come in and take the power.
Yeah, because we had to spend, as always, 10 minutes arguing with Scott going, no, it's got to be more directed. Oh, it's a cousin or a niece. No.
So
Yeah.
If you keep, I guarantee you, somebody is like listening in, and they're like, "These are fucking stellar ideas. Why didn't we think about this years
Either
ago?" Just
that or
listen.
somebody who's a regular here listens to my ideas and then goes on to like forum boards like I seen this thing and this guy says that they could do like this, and then he types it all down, and that's like a big enough group that somebody from like Bandai or something is currently in that group like, you hear what this guy's talking about over here? Because this ain't a bad idea, guys. Like,
I'm sorry. They've already decided to pull Rangers off of fucking Netflix because it wasn't doing too well. Now I will give it to her. Fucking Amy Jo Johnson clapped back like a motherfucker. But
she did.
You want Power Rangers to fucking work? You hire the motherfuckers that have been goddamn reviewing Power Rangers for what 5-6 fucking years.
I understand that it has to stay for kids.
Area.
I understand that it has to stay at least in a PG-13 realm. I don't want Rangers to say fuck. I don't want Rangers to, like, kill people and snort cocaine. That's not my interest. But, like, you do have to grow the property up enough to let it breathe. Think, and I know I keep referencing this, but it's damn good, think 2013 Ninja Turtles.
Motherfucker. God
they even killed characters in that series, and it was for kids, and they didn't pull punches. The characters that die in 2013 Ninja Turtles, they stay dead.
Yep.
They are dead. And they're not small characters. They're not like, here, let's add this character so we can kill it. No, I'm not going to give it away. But if you guys watch that 2013 Ninja Turtles, understand something. Even some of the biggest characters in that show are not safe. Yep. Some of them will die, and they do not come back. And it will shock you just how big of characters they are that they will get rid of.
Yep.
Or injure permanently.
Yep.
You can keep everything for the most part. When it comes to like killing and stuff, I don't want to see the Rangers like killing, people and stuff. That's not what they do. That's not what they are. If you're gonna make a show, unless you're changing up stuff and you're making like evil Rangers, like the Psycho Rangers or something. That's one thing. But
Hi, Jake from Hasbro. Thanks for another idea.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, even though the Power Rangers was for kids, we killed Rangers off.
Yes.
Rangers did that. Hold on. I will get to the whole coming back to life shit. Okay.
Yep, there you go. Thank you.
Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we copped out, they were dead.
Sure.
Let's use Kendrick. She did die. She was out of the episodes. Her power was transferred over to...
she was teleported to a planet.
Shane, we're almost there. Don't ruin it for the reviews.
Well, come on. I'm not going to talk much about it. I'll talk more in depth about it when we get there. But I'm just saying
that is the biggest sucker punch in all of Rangers. She was just transported to another planet. I don't care that they're like, oh no, you've seen her ghost and everything. She's not dead. They backpedaled the biggest decision in Power Rangers history and took away all the punch.
Yep.
It's like, you know why you don't really get worried when you watch Dragon Ball Z? They have the Dragon Balls. Who gives a shit?
Yep.
The only time Dragon Ball Z was worrisome was when they had a rule running where they said, if you die once, a dragon cannot grant the same wish twice. So everybody had a get out of jail free one-time card.
Yep.
One.
And
that was it.
The other time that was a big threat is when King Piccolo killed the dragon.
Yeah.
No Dragon Balls.
Yeah.
Period.
So, but every single time they did that, you started to get used to the idea that Dragon Ball would just like backpedal.
Yep.
They'd be like, oh, well, but there's this other way to do it.
But so yes, backpedaling in Power Rangers, it did suck. Bring Kendricks is alive. In Time Force, Alex, because of time bullshit, is back.
Right. Yeah, because right here, it even says, meme right here says it was transferred to Corone. Yeah.
Yep.
But she's not dead. And then, like, Alex died, but he just comes right back. Like, he does die, but then because of, and I hate this fucking phrase because it's tied to a thing that I don't like. But yeah, wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey fucking dumb shit. He just comes back.
Now I am
Yes.
going
It's
to
not the
there
same
is-
guy, technically, but it is the same guy.
Now there is a series that actually does have. You don't. You see the world, and you can. You don't. You can just. You can already just use your imagination how many people are actually dead. But in RPM, it is literally a apocalyptic world. There's only
That's
one
fair.
city of
Yeah.
humanity left.
But who do we
Now,
know? We don't
What do you
know
mean?
anybody, so there's no punch. It doesn't matter.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me get there. Now, I haven't finished all of RPM, so if the fans have, maybe they can fill in the blanks for me. But the Gold and Silver Ranger get killed. They die, and they get deleted completely. Their existence completely deleted. I don't know if they come back. Now, that's the thing. Now, so if that happens, that's
And
two
this right here,
Rangers.
I would have to go and rewatch this. RPG says that he rewatched the Time Force recently, and that the characters even say that he survives. He didn't die. So they even pulled their punch on the first fucking episode.
Okay,
Yeah.
it made it seem like because he was like laying there bleeding, and we just assumed that he died. But
Shane.
I guess that suit does protect more than
Gold
you
and
think.
silver die, they come back.
Shane.
It just,
Dude,
what does it
They
matter?
pulled their punch right here.
Yeah.
In this one, in fucking episode 1.
Yeah.
Mike.
Mike doesn't even die.
Oh yeah, Mike. Mike didn't die because Magnum Defender threw his sword and caught him.
If we're going to add punch to the Power Rangers, you need to allow possible real circumstances, and there has to be consequences.
Maybe
if there's
that
not,
happened-
it doesn't
It's
matter.
happened once.
And the
so far.
biggest... Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's happened once so far in Rangers.
Yeah.
Trini is dead.
Trini is dead.
Now, yeah,
The
Is
only...
dead. Period.
And I'll say this, and I've said this a million times, and it's very, very, very important. Keep this in mind for anybody that has any aspirations of being a writer. The biggest, most important dramatic card you have in your deck is dead.
Mm-hmm.
If you backtrack, if you backpedal, if you bring a character back, I don't care how cool, I don't care how convenient or how amazing or how well it's explained, once you backpedal death, you have spent the biggest, most powerful dramatic playing piece of your entire literal repertoire. And once you devalue that card, the rest of your deck is worth nothing. Nothing.
Yep.
Don't
Once you
do it.
change your ace from an 11 to a fucking 2,
Yeah.
doesn't mean shit the rest of the fucking game.
If a
You're
character is supposed to die, that sucks. I know. That character must die. You don't kill L and then bring him back. He
Uh-huh.
has to be dead, or it
Hey,
doesn't work.
it could be why the comic book Rangers, like the
Have gotten so much attention.
the 1969 Rangers, when they went to the moon, and only 2 of them came back alive,
And they were dead.
dead.
Mm-hmm.
The Shattered Grid. I know that it's an alternate universe.
Yeah, that's a different idea, because they can kill a bunch of people and you know that it's going to reset when they solve the problem.
Yep.
But you
Before-
see that coming. It allows them to be as dark as they could ever be. But then when you tell a mainline story and you kill a character and they stay dead, even though we didn't really know those guys that went to the moon, like, we don't know those guys. So it
No,
doesn't
but
necessarily matter. They're cannon
But it-
fodder to begin with. But either way, when they die, they're dead.
Right.
And it does affect something because Zordon sent them, and only 2 came back. He feels responsible. 3 of his Rangers died. It does have an impact for when other Rangers come down the line.
Oh my,
You know?
that's my time. I am out of time.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna
12:01.
say, yeah,
I'm
you gotta
way
go.
out of time, actually. So we gotta go. But this is how the show is supposed to run. So expect this. We're gonna get a lot more talking to the actual audience and running topics and things like that. And I dug up an old list of topics, somewhere around like 100 topics, and we need to add to
Yep.
that list and get more stuff going. And we need to figure out where we are in our current state of fandom and like what we want to do. But
And if Bill gets forced at work again, Shane and I will go into this shit more.
Yep.
we're off to the races finally.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Bye.